All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see all of you here. Thank you for joining us. We especially appreciate our media members who are here with us today for this press conference. We're gonna talk more fire. I know you've had a lot of fire content. Sadly, we've had way too much fire content, and we've got to talk some more about it because things are pretty dire out there. I just want to begin by especially thanking our firefighters, our law enforcement officers, our emergency managers, dispatchers, local officials, and the countless public servants who've been working around the clock to protect Utah, protect the assets here, and more than anything else to protect human life. They put themselves in harm's way to protect ours. Over the past several days, I have spent time with firefighters on the front lines. I've been at multiple fires across the state. I flew over some of the fires yesterday. I visited communities that have been evacuated and places where the fires literally come within feet of losing entire neighborhoods. There's certainly one conversation that stayed with me. I met a veteran fire official from Beaver County. He spent decades, and when I mean decades, I mean like 5 of them, 50 years fighting wildfires. The kind of person who has seen everything there is to see when it comes to fires in this state. Frankly, he told me he probably should have retired a few years ago, and wishing he hadn't seen this one. But he keeps showing up because he loves these communities. When he described what he was seeing this year, he became emotional, and so did I. Not because he was tired, although he was certainly tired, but because he's seen a lot of fire before, but because he's also never seen anything like he's seen this year. He was on the Cottonwood fire in Beaver. He was on that fire within 5 minutes, and knew that there was no way there could be any direct attack on that fire. It was fire behavior unlike anything he's witnessed in his entire career. He put the fear of God in me, and it's our job to kind of put that fear into everyone else. As I've seen these fire officials who aren't scared of anything, I've seen real fear for the first time in my time working with them. When people who've dedicated their lives to protecting Utah tell us this year is different, we desperately need to listen. Today isn't about politics. It's about protecting lives. It's about protecting homes and communities during one of the most dangerous fire seasons in our state has ever faced, certainly in our lifetime. In a moment, you're going to hear from Director Jamie Barnes, our state forester, who will explain exactly what firefighters are seeing on the ground and why these conditions are so dangerous. And then we're going to hear from Commissioner Bo Mason, who will provide an update on public safety, law enforcement efforts, evacuations, and the steps we're taking to protect Utahns. And then I think we're going to have Mayor Troy Walker is going to take some time as well to talk about what local officials are seeing, and then I'll come back to talk about some of the actions that we're going to take. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jamie Barnes. Jamie?
Thanks, Governor. Jamie Barnes, Director, State Forester with the Division of Utah, Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. So as of this afternoon, Utah has had more than 353 wildfires this season. We have several large fires burning in the state at the same time. These fires have burned more than 141,000 acres. The Cottonwood fire in Beaver County is currently our largest fire at more than 70,000 acres and is 0% contained. This is likely the most destructive and costly fire in terms of property damage that the state has ever seen. The Iron Fire near Eureka is another fire that is large and at more than 37,000 acres and about 23% contained. The Hastings Fire is in the West Desert and has also burned close to 30,000 acres. Gratefully, the Bonneville Fire above the Salt Lake City, here where we are now, is nearly contained. When we start to see incidents of this scale, we start to see a need to forecast resource availability along with conditions and fire potential so we are prepared for the next start. We are concerned with where we are, and if we don't see a change, we are going to be headed in the wrong direction. Currently, across these incidents, we have 1,023 personnel assigned, including 27 crews, 40 engines, and multiple aviation resources. These numbers are changing by the hour. We are also working with federal partners and mutual aid resources from full-time and volunteer fire departments across the state. However, Type 1 crew availability is depleted, and as other states start to see large fires, we will see greater competition for resources. The challenge is not just the number of fires, it's the conditions they are burning in. These are the conditions we were warned about earlier this year. Every county in Utah is in severe drought. 22 counties are in extreme drought. We came out of the lowest snowpack on record, and the forecast heading into Friday and Saturday includes very strong winds and extremely low humidity. In some places, we may see gusts up to 40 to 50 miles per hour and humidity in the single digits. We are dealing with low reservoirs and water sites, which challenge our teams when using them as dip sites for drying water for suppression. Fuels in many areas are combustible and at historical lows. That means that if a fire starts small, we will not stay small for very long. In these conditions, a new start can move faster than crews can safely reach it. We are seeing a fire make a run of more than 100 of acres plus in a few hours, sometimes thousands of acres. This year it's different. We are seeing things that we have never seen before. It's historical times, folks. Fire restrictions are in place across much of southern and western Utah, and now stage 1 is in place across the state. As conditions continue to worsen, starting Friday, June 26th at 12:01 a.m., the entire state will now move into stage 2 fire restrictions. This means no open fires across the state on state and private unincorporated lands. Now I want to talk a little bit about the part that Utah can do to make a difference. Most of the fires we are fighting this year did not have to start. We are pushing nearly 80% of human-caused fires. We track ignition causes closely, and we see the same patterns year after year. Fires start from vehicles, they start from trailer trains dragging on pavement, they start from hot exhaust and parked over dry grass, they start from debris burns, and they get away. Target shooting in dry areas, campfires that were not fully extinguished, and equipment that throws a spark, and fireworks. I raise this because what it means is that we can do something about this. People are the ones that are starting the fires. That is the point of Fire Sense. Prevention is not one big thing. It's a series of decisions that people make before a spark ever hits the ground. If you're pulling a trailer, check your chains before you leave. Make sure you're not dragging. Check your tires. Do not pull off on that trail of dry grass. If you're camping, use a camp stove instead of a fire wherever you can. If you're planning to shoot, use a developed range. Do not use still targets or exploding targets in dry country. If you have yard debris or agricultural burn, plan, wait. Check your local restrictions. And if you're thinking about lighting fireworks at home, this is the year to make a different choice. Go to a permitted public show. Choose something that does not put another spark on the landscape. We know people want to celebrate the 4th of July. We want you to celebrate also. We just need it to be done in a different way. This is why we are inviting Utah to spend the 4th with Utah State Parks. On July 4th, everyday use visitor to any of Utah's 46 state parks will receive a special bounce back offer. This offer is good for one free day use admission at Utah State Park between Monday, August 3rd and Thursday, August 6th. Come boating, swimming, hike, fish, picnic, or use Utah's historic sites. Spend the day outside at a place where Utah's risk is low, and we will give you a free day to come back. The idea is simple. Choose a celebration that does not start a fire. 2 more simple points. First, people who start to prevent wildfire can be held responsible. The state does pursue suppression costs against cost recovery when appropriate, and the cost of one careless moment can be very serious. Second, if you see a fire, please call 911 immediately. Fast reporting makes a real difference. It can save acres and it can save homes. It can keep our firefighters safe. The fire situation in Utah is a serious one this year. It will likely start and to be more serious for some time, but Utah we have a role here. We have a serious role to play, and we need to make a difference.
Good afternoon. You know, it's not fun to be here today. This is the time of year we should be celebrating. We should be out enjoying our outdoors and really Perfect time of year to celebrate all that we're grateful for. But you won't meet someone that loves this state and loves this country more than a group of law enforcement and firefighters. But they will still be celebrating. Our law enforcement firefighters will be supporting community events, community parades. We just won't be shooting off explosive ordnance into the air to do that. Looking at this through a public safety lens, my counterparts from across the state, including chiefs of police, sheriffs, and fire chiefs, all share the same concerns. The current conditions set us up for high risk of danger to our communities, our recreation areas, and our roadways. The concerns for future impact from human-caused fires are at the forefront of our minds. Everything from reckless burning to illegal encampments to illegal fireworks usage, our message is simple. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Our first priority is protecting lives and keeping people safe. Having spoken with the sheriffs and chiefs of police, everyone is standing firm on the fact that we will seek those that cause damage from illegal fires and fireworks or that put lives in danger. We have seen fires caused by homeless encampments. We've seen others through recklessness, and several others are still under investigation, including our two largest fires in the state, but are known to be human-caused. Law enforcement across the state will put every resource towards catching and screening charges against those individuals responsible. Again, it's just not worth it. You can be held criminally liable, you can be held financially liable, and parents, you can be held liable for the actions of your children. I was on the Iron Fire helping with evacuations. Those individuals were put at risk of losing everything because of the reckless actions of someone else. Residents of Eureka were put into ready status, and within just a few short hours, were told to evacuate. That's hardly enough time to gather those things that are meaningful in your life. I do want to thank the communities of Eureka and those that were on the Beaver Mountain during those evacuations. Because of that quick call to action to evacuate, and because of their reasonableness and willingness to evacuate, I can say that lives were saved on that Beaver Mountain during that Cottonwood fire. Moving forward, we'd ask that you pay special attention to those wireless alerts. When those go out, they have been vetted, and there's a process, so you know when your phone goes off with that wireless alert, it is serious. It is time to take action and be prepared. I would also encourage you to sign up for your community notification systems. Those can often be found on your county websites. Sign those up and get instant notifications sent to you through that process. Again, take these conditions seriously. Law enforcement is increasing patrols in high-risk areas, and we will be holding those whose illegal actions start wildfires accountable. Thank you.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to thank Governor Cox on behalf of the Utah League of Cities and Towns and our executive board for taking this action. This gives us municipal governments the tools we need to do to protect our communities. You see a number of mayors standing behind me. All of these mayors are in the same boat as I am in Draper. We all have families and homes in the wildland-urban interface and in these areas where a fire can devastate a community. And you've seen it in California. You've seen it even here in Utah. Our concern as mayors and elected officials is for life and safety of our residents. If there was ever a year to take it off of personal fireworks, this is that year. And we have professional shows that you can enjoy, but this is the year to look out for your neighbor, to look out for each other, and to be safe. In closing, I'm going to quote Smokey the Bear, because he's been saying it for over 100 years. Only you can prevent fireworks fires. Thank you.
Well, thank you to our state and local leaders who are doing just yeoman's work out there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we, as was mentioned, there have been several fire starts across the state. You've heard about some of those. Commissioner Mason already mentioned some of the things that we're doing. Chief Brian Redd, local police chiefs and sheriffs and public safety partners are aggressively addressing criminal activity that has contributed to this fire season. That includes illegal homelessness camps in high-risk areas and those who intentionally or recklessly start fires. We do know that we had one arsonist cyclist that was arrested who had started several fires throughout the valley. We have our not only local law enforcement but our DNR teams are going throughout the hillsides to remove homelessness camps, make sure that we are not starting any fires that way. Now, we did have a fire. We believe that the fire in Eureka was likely started by fireworks. I will just point out that those were obviously illegal fireworks because you can't be lighting fireworks this time of year anyway. Fireworks are inherently dangerous. They're inherently unpredictable. That's just part of how fireworks work. And we've heard the facts. You've heard directly from all the experts. I can't overemphasize enough, guys. This year is different. It's different than any other year that any of us have experienced. I just wanted to put this into a little bit of perspective. We've had the ability at the local level to ban fireworks in certain areas where it's called the wildland urban interface. So places like this, right, is a place where we could ban fireworks, but we couldn't do it in other areas. Unfortunately, almost everywhere is now a dry wildland urban interface. This is what the biologists are telling me, and I want to tell you. That tree that you look at, this tree here, those trees there, they look the same as they've looked every other year, but they're not. They're dying inside. They're Roman candles just waiting to be lit. And on that fire in Beaver, that fire behavior, they saw spotting. Now, spotting is when an ember from the main fire flies through the air, through the wind to another place and starts another fire. Because these fuels are so combustible, they had spotting 1.5 miles away. That means you're watching the fire burn right here, and 1.5 miles another fire starts out of nowhere because the wind took some ember and started it so quickly. 1.5 miles away. Now think about that. Think of the parts of this city that are 1.5 miles away, and where that would end up, what that would end up doing. You heard it from the mayor. I've talked to my friends who are governors. I've talked to the governor of Hawaii, who lost an entire city. I've talked to the governor of Colorado, who lost an entire subdivision. I've talked to the governor of California, who lost an entire city. Thousands of homes that were not part of the urban interface, the wildland interface, gone because of the right conditions at the wrong time. That's what we are facing here. And it is not just southern Utah. The Idaho border is as dry as St. George usually is in August. That's the kind of thing that we're dealing with. This is unprecedented, and it means that we have to take some unprecedented measures. We know again that these fires are mostly human caused, and we've stretched our firefighting resources to the limit. I just want to share this again as well. When a fire starts, right, because it's drier than it's ever been, we have to respond with more resources than we would normally respond to. This fire behind us that you can see that happened, it's a miracle that this fire got out. The Huntsman Cancer Institute, that fire was burning within 100 feet. They had a line of fire crews just saying, we're going to stop it. We're not going to let it burn down the cancer center. That's how close this was. And thankfully, we had a line of firefighters who could do that. The problem is we don't have that now. With these other fires burning across the state, if there's a fire, that means multiple crews have to respond. In the Eureka fire, Gunnison Fire Department responded to Eureka. Gunnison is a volunteer fire department. Guess how many people were defending Gunnison at that time? None. Right? If there had been a fire in Gunnison, there had been no one there to stop it. We had firefighters from Lehigh. We had firefighters from Layton, which meant that part of their crews were gone. So if on July 3rd, 4th, or 5th, we have multiple starts in this valley, we're screwed. Okay? That's it. Nobody to respond. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about. This is not just big government. This is like life or death stuff. So here's what we're going to do. I have to say, like, I love fireworks, guys. I love fireworks more than just about anything. I turn into a kid again every 4th of July and every 24th of July. this is who we are. It's America's 250. I want people to be able to celebrate, and fireworks are part of that celebration. But this year we have to respond to the reality that is with us, not the one that we wish we had. So today I'm issuing an executive order that temporarily expands the authority of our state forester to restrict fireworks across the state of Utah through July 5th. Now here's what that means. The default during this and just this extraordinary fire season will be that fireworks are prohibited statewide. It's not about taking decisions away from local communities. In fact, we want to put local knowledge at the center of this process, which means that mayors and local leaders working in consultation with their fire chiefs, their fire officials, will have the authority to designate areas where fireworks can still be used safely based on conditions, local knowledge in the community. So we think this strikes the right balance. The default will be no fireworks, but every mayor with every fire warden in the state can decide where fireworks are okay. I hope that every city will designate a spot where people can come and light off their fireworks and do so safely with our fire officials. That's what we want. We want to be able to do that. We want people to celebrate. Please go buy fireworks. All right, buy fireworks from your local vendors. These are small businesses, often local families. This is their one time a year to sell fireworks. Go buy fireworks, okay? If it means we have to have a special fireworks day in November, we'll do that, okay? We'll do whatever it takes to make sure you get a chance to set off those fireworks. Again, I'm hoping there will be local designated spots where you will be able to do that. We want the professional shows to go forward. We want people to come together. Again, we have the best and the brightest. We have our fire teams who can make sure that those are done safely, and we can still enjoy the explosions, blowing stuff up that makes America so great. All right, that's the right balance. This order is temporary. It does not extend to July 24th. We'll reevaluate as we get closer. We're hoping that these monsoons are coming in. It looks like it's forecast to be a better July. If we have a wet July, if we have monsoons come in, the order goes away. All right, that's the idea. But the default will be no fireworks. Every community will decide where fireworks can happen, and they get to make those decisions. Our goal is simple: to make sure our communities are still standing on July 5th. To my fellow Utahns, look, guys, this is what we do best. We sacrifice on behalf of our friends and our neighbors. I love this state. I'm so proud of us. Please know, none of us enjoys this. We don't want to do this. We wish we didn't have to do this, but we know that we can respond in positive ways. Please come together, celebrate America 250 the right way. And with that, I'm happy to answer questions.
Governor, I understand
Ben.
you're also declaring a state of emergency for wildfires.
Correct. So that will be the order. The order is declaring a state of emergency, which allows us to suspend a piece of statute, which will then give the state forester the opportunity to issue an order that will. Right now, she can only issue an order banning fireworks in certain parts of the state, on state lands and unincorporated lands. So this will give her the opportunity to again issue an order that limits fireworks statewide, with the exception that can be overridden at the local level. They can actually allow for firework areas.
Given that the legislature has preempted you from enacting all-out bans and also limited the power of cities, have you talked to lawmakers about this?
I have, yes.
Where are they at?
Yeah. So we had a phone call with legislative leadership yesterday in both the House and Senate, and I will say it was generally very supportive. Now there are some legislators that disagree with this. I understand that. I know they don't want any restrictions anywhere. I totally get that. But again, and I would not do this if it wasn't the worst possible situation that we've ever seen. And to anybody who pushes back on that, all I can say is go out to one of these fires and talk to one of these firefighters, look them in the eye, and then come back and talk to me, because it will change your perspective.
Governor,
Yes.
do you favor a permanent change in state law that would give mayors more authority to exercise restrictions?
I think what we have in state law is actually workable in 99 out of 100 years, but this is the one where it's not.
Governor, do you have an idea of how much this fire season has cost and how much it's expected to cost?
A lot. We don't have an idea yet of how much it's going to cost. Look, I'm very proud of our state. I'm proud of our legislature. We don't just think about this year. We think about future years, and we've done more, as far as I know, than any other state out there when it comes to preparing for these types of events. We've been putting money aside every single year to prepare for the worst year. We have $120 million that we've set aside that can help with fire suppression, can also help with fire rehabilitation, which is the other piece. Once the fires get out, you've got a lot of work to do, because when the rains do come, then the mudslides come, the ash gets washed into water systems. It's really awful. It's devastating. The fire is bad for a few weeks, and then the recovery can take 5 years. We've got to be able to help with that as well. I will say the federal government plays a big role in this. FEMA, we've had our FMAGs on these big fires have been approved, which means that 75% of those suppression costs are approved. It also depends where it's burning. If it's burning on state lands, local lands, or federal lands, who pays for it. A lot of these are burning on federal lands, so that certainly helps with some of the costs. But these are very expensive fires, and again, the resources are already tapped out. So the Great Basin, which is where we are, is the number one priority in the country right now. The Cottonwood Fire in Beaver is the number one fire in the Great Basin, so it's the number one fire in the country. That's going to change very quickly. We don't have any more Type 1 hand crews available to us. So the next fire doesn't get a Type 1 hand crew. That's bad for us. So that kind of tells you what we're up against, and it is very expensive. Every time one of these planes flies, every crew that gets out there, every piece of equipment is expensive. But the good news is we prepared for it, and we'll be able to cover that cost. Yeah. Always. Yeah. Well, again, we the biggest hope, and I would encourage everybody. Again, we got some rain clouds yesterday, which were not forecast originally. Keep praying for rain. We need all the help we can get. But what I will say is, we'll evaluate at the end of this fire season, see where we are, see how much was drawn down, and see what we need to do to build that up. I will just mention that for years we operated without a fund of that size, and so we feel really good. I think the systems we have in place that allow us to fund that every year will help us continue to build it back up. But we will, if we have to, we'll use other resources and pull them in as well. Not on fire right now. No, I don't see a special session on fire. We had talked about a potential special session on some other issues, some things coming out of the last session that could happen later in the year in September. But we haven't gone over any plans. We haven't even talked about a potential date for a special session. Yes, so the purpose of the fire emergency is basically to allow the state forester, who doesn't have that authority right now, gives her that authority to do this. I only have the ability to use emergency powers for 30 days, after which we would have to call the legislature into session if we wanted to extend that. But because it's specifically related to fireworks, which are 3-day windows, we're well within the time frame for that. Okay, that's all the time we have. Again, thank you, everybody, especially if you see one of our firefighters, public safety of any sort, please give them a pat on the back and thank them for what they're doing this year. Thanks, everyone.